And
Not too
actually,
bad.
David would likely be able to give a much better. Oh wow.
I have recording. I
So
don't know if anybody else needs a demo. And if you would prefer to record, I can turn it over to you.
no, it doesn't matter. Actually, David would probably do a much better demo than I. But let me just give it a go here, just so you can get a glimpse of Federated Wiki. Um, so this is actually, I think, a site of David's proto.institute. So it's pretty easy. Yeah, well, first off, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, that's David Boville, not David Ing. So.
Oh yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting there's two Davids on the call. David Woville. So it's pretty easy with a federated wiki site to make a subdomain just on the fly. You just kind of type it in. So like, for example, you could type gym.protoinstitute, and you'll notice down here at the bottom, you can claim the site, and depending on what identity provider you sort of link up with the system, I think there's options. I guess right now this server is using Google, but I think you can use other ones.
Yeah.
I'll just go back to my personal one. And so basically, there's kind of like a default page called the welcome visitors page. And in this particular flavor of fedwiki, which is, I think, David Boville's creation, which I actually haven't spent too much time playing with, it has some extra bells and whistles already built in. So let me just see. Yeah, so you can toggle on or off the wiki mode, I guess it would be called, and you'll notice here it gives you feedback on what's called the neighborhood, so the number of pages that you have in your sort of like your current context. And as you explore, you'll notice that the neighborhood can expand as you bring in other sites into your neighborhood. So if I click Start Playing with Wiki.
That's one of the parts where it's kind of frame breaking because when you're looking at federated wiki, you're actually working across a network, but it doesn't feel like it. And so some of the pages are your pages, and some of the pages are other pages created by other people. And that's the part that people don't get their head wrapped around, that in effect you're sharing knowledge and it looks first within your neighborhood, but as you see at the bottom, it's moved from 300 some pages to 427 pages now. So the more you explore the world, the bigger your neighborhood gets.
Yeah, and I don't have all the terminology down, but all these little glyphs or these color gradients represent the different sites, so you can get a visual sense of like what site is from where. And when you're in wiki mode, you can see, I think it's called the journal, which is basically all the edits that have happened, and you can see like where a page has been edited, or you can fork a page. But basically, you can also see up here, this older and newer represents the people that basically have like a namespace clash, or I don't know the technical term of referring to it as. But if you have this page with the same name and pages with the same name are in your current neighborhood, then it'll show you the different people that are working on the same sort of topic. And then, yeah, so if just say, well, this is mine, you can sort of, if you're in wiki mode, I'm pretty sure you can just sort of double click and start typing anywhere to add in new content. And then I think it uses the like typical wiki sort of markup to create new pages, or maybe that's double one. So yeah, like I said, I'm not the best.
By the way, say a couple of things, can I?
Sure, yeah.
Just what you're doing there, Robert, is a couple of things. One, you see that yellow halo around the page you're editing?
Yep.
That is because you're not logged in.
Ah, okay.
And what that means is the changes are being saved, but that's just saved to your local browser because you can work offline. And now you need to fork that page to save the local changes up to the server. So you have to go down to the fork button at the bottom there. And then the yellow will disappear.
Ah, okay.
So you can actually just go and edit things while you're offline and not logged in, or not logged in.
Cool. And yeah, so I guess it's the double square bracket to make a page, and then
that's another thing.
Sort of,
if you edit that, just double click to edit. If you hit Alt I or Apple I, Command I if you're on Apple, you'll always get the help about how to edit. So it shows you there
Yeah.
double links or external links and what you can do with that particular item. So.
Well, that's some further context for Jim and others who might not be familiar with fedwiki. It's a very pluggable system, so you can bring in lots of different plugins. Then I think that's when you go to create something new, you can see all the different types of sort of pieces of media types that you can add into a fedwiki, and I'm pretty sure these are all based on plugins here.
And a plugin is an NPM module, basically. So if you want to add a new type, you just create a small little NPM module and you can add it.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't demoed fedwiki, so I don't have a mental model in my head of like a good pathway to go through to give somebody like the full breadth of what's different and cool about fedwiki. But
just let me make a comment that about the halos and the forking. So what actually happens when you're browsing across the Federation, and so here we have a page with no halo, so that's Robert's page, and then we've got one with a halo around it. That's actually not on Robert's server. It's not part of his site. Now, he could fork that page. I don't think you should, but down the bottom, there's a fork button. And what you're doing when you actually hit the fork button is you're bringing a copy of that page onto your personal wiki. And so this is the part where Ward had said that if content is important, it'll persist in the Federation. And the idea was that Ward thinks that that after he dies and and people are still, if they're still using the technology, that good content will persist. And so what you actually want people to do is copy the content by forking it into their own personal sites. Now, the part of the language and discussion about what is what here, and so in the work I did in December, I spent a whole month trying to describe some of this, and what they call a wiki page, I've actually referred to call a card because it just makes it less confusing about the difference between a web page and a wiki page. But if we think about this as kind of like the long-term trajectory of what HyperCard was about and some of the heritage, then when you're collecting stuff, you're collecting copies of things onto your personal site, and then when you see, so on Robert's name, he's got same. You can click on the same, and you'll see on another site another version of it. So now you've got the blue halo, which means it's actually not on this site; it's on another site. So, Jim, is that clarified or clear as mud to you?
Yeah, I think that was very good. And I have recorded so I can go back and review it.
yeah.
And if you like, Robert, I'll show a couple of things.
Yeah, sure. And I think the other intention is to actually get a server up on a DigitalOcean droplet or something today as something we can hack together. I don't know if you also want to share on your thinking around how we can get multiple organizations sort of working around that, David.
Okay. Okay, so I guess, let's see if this makes any sense here. So it's the same site here, Proto Institute. So, I mean, the first thing to say is that there are, so this is just Proto Institute, it's just a domain. It's set up as a farm. So there are two ways of running a site. You can either just run it for yourself, npm install wiki will do, or you can set it up as a wiki farm, which can host multiple sites for multiple people, or in fact you can have a personal farm where you just that domain is yours, and when you want to organize a bunch of pages under a subdomain, you just type in the subdomain and it's automatically claimed as yours. So I have quite a few sites that I write under, and I'm just creating a bunch of pages under, and I can show you that if you want. So let's say if we take, I don't know, here's a site that I use, david.boville.me. So that's just kind of my writing stroke, my notes stroke, my CV here. In fact, I have a whole load of sites here. You can see there's lots of them, right? But if I want to now write stuff about, I don't know, Boston as the city, I can write boston.david.boville.me, whatever I want, as many levels as I want. And now I just create automatically. I mean, it's taking a while, actually. I don't know why. I guess it's because it's on Zoom. Why is that not going anywhere? It's just being slow. I don't know why, Zoom. But that will instantly sort of create, actually, that's not set up. That I don't use that one for this sort of thing. So that's fixed. So I've got this site that does it, Thought Garden. Sorry about that. So I've got another site here that I just use for ideas and research, a sort of think tank site. And this is a site, and these are, in fact, all the subdomains. This object here with all these little flags there's a whole bunch. So this domain here, for instance, is economics.thought.garden. So I just write stuff to do with economics under that domain. Or this site here is game.thoughtgarden, so stuff about games. And like I said, if we want to write about about the town Boston, or let's say MIT, we want to write about MIT.thought.garden. I would just create that, and that just creates. Come on, why is it so slow when you're on Zoom? I have no idea why this is being so slow. So I'm not going to bother showing that right now. Okay.
So Jim, this is one of the features and also learnings associated with working with Wiki is a subdomaining. And the reason that, and maybe we haven't written this up, the way to think about this is like writing very small books. And so it'd be better if you had a variety of small books rather than having one huge book. And when you do that, then you create a very small neighborhood that's focused on a various idea. And you can always copy stuff or, fork stuff from other sites into this one or refactor, whatever. The subdomaining is something that technically is not necessarily as straightforward because that's farm mode. And I actually haven't implemented that myself.
No, it's totally straightforward. I just don't know why that's not loading. I don't know if it's Zoom or what, but normally I might, in a writing session in a day, I might create 3 or 4 different sites. It's just like creating a new document or a new folder with documents in it, something like that. So it's very natural, and you automatically get logged in, and I have no idea why that didn't work there. This farm is set up, the Proto Institute one, as Robert showed, so that when a new subdomain is created, anyone, it's an open farm, can create it, and then they claim it, so multiple people can work under that. And I just want to show, so this thing here is called a roster, and a roster is like a chat roster. It just lists a group of people or a group of sites that you might work with, and it has its own little syntax. So if you use this command roster, and you can point to something, or you can list manually a bunch of domains, it will just list those. And when you've got that, you can do things like, let's have a look at all the changes in just that bunch of writers or sites. So here, Proto Activity, this is all the recent changes to all the people writing in that particular site. So for instance, There's some stuff here written about Edward de Bono's thinking hats here, and that was written probably about a week ago. Looks like someone wrote today about this collaboration server, just some notes there. Here's some stuff to do with governance, and that's someone wrote. And when you come across a page, let's say maybe this is Colin's page here, or execute a cross-page merge, you can just now fork this, make it your own, and start writing it yourself. So here you're writing with this particular research group, these institute, the Proto Institute members. But similarly, you could look at all the changes in the recent federation. So here, within the last day across the federation, and here being loaded into the your neighborhood. This is all your neighborhood. Here's a bunch of pages. But it looks like some people are writing about holons. I don't know who that is. This looks like, yeah, this is a group called Innovate Oregon who are doing some writing in Oregon to do with innovation. And there's a couple of people who've written a page here about holons. And they write quite a lot here about education. So, for instance, I don't know what reflective miscalibration, contrasting perspectives, electrified wiki. I don't know what that's about. But you can come across, see what people are writing, and there's always something fascinating. And it's just one click to fork it, and then you make it your own. So within the DigiLife Collective, you might have different rosters. So you might have a group of people working on learning roles and models, and another group working on collective intelligence, and another group working on, I don't know, blockchain or some technical aspects. And you can be in several groups, and when you write in that group, you'll add a wiki page which then can be forked from one group to another. So for instance, if you're writing about blockchain just from the technical point of view, and let's say you want to write about let's say, I don't know, some particular blockchain that people are interested in, let's say R-chain, then if that was forked to the educational context, that same page would have you would have writing from that perspective and that context. Well, maybe David Ing would fork that page and have his own personal slant on it. So you just get across the membership, everyone having their own writing space and their own pages, but then you can gather those pages together. And you can do things like, for instance, this page here, Federation Search, has 3 particular pages about it. This is going to take some time to draw, so I'm not going to do that. But that's the version history of those pages. But let's say if I want to look at it here, Federation Search, I can open up that page, and that page, and then just compare these 3 different versions. And I say, oh, that one's useless, that one's useless, this one looks interesting, and fork that copy of the page. So you get the ability for everyone to have their own take in their own group and their own context, but then bring them together in some canonical version. And then you can start to do things like move them into a collaborative editing document, like a Google Docs style. You would want to move it into CodeMD. So you can basically do things like drag these sections into CodeMD or some GitHub workflow. So basically, very quickly, and I wasn't planning to show, but you've got different rosters of different groups that you can easily create. And these rosters can be created with a simple bit of code that returns JSON. So you could write it in any language you like. So you could write it in Python or Perl or PHP or Ruby, whatever you want. I write in my own weird language, for instance. Or you can extend it with your own plugin, which needs to be in JavaScript. You end up giving people a writing space and yet a way in which they write together. And every single piece of content is revealed as JSON, just with the REST JSON call. So your other pieces of and licensed to share explicitly. So your other pieces of software can pull this into calendaring or other things. So I can show you plugins to do with calendaring or what have you. And the final thing I would say is how it works with Wikipedia. So let's say we're looking at, I don't know, collective intelligence. So you search for Wikipedia for a Wikipedia page, collective intelligence, let's say, and you want to start researching as a group about this. Sorry, it's a bit slow because it's Wikipedia. Sorry, it's Zoom. So what I can do is just drag from the Wikipedia page, drop it on here, and what it does is it just imports that Wikipedia page, but not all of it, just the first part. So if we have a look at the Wikipedia page, it's just going to import, it's quite a lot here, it's this first section, but not all the section because that would be too much. So here we have this page, and it's brought in the first image here, a link back to Wikipedia, but here are the chapter sections. So for instance, if we want to know alternative mathematical techniques for collective intelligence, here's a page here about that, and some content here, and we can just drag this around, you know, to create that page. And if I fork that, I've now created, I'm not logged in, but we can log in there. So basically, you can start writing a lot of content quite quickly. Applications of collective intelligence, bring that in. There's a bunch of stuff there, some cognition about it. And now you bring in market judgment. I don't know what that is. So now we're bringing in content from Wikipedia, but once it's forked, we can now give our own take on it, link it to some code we're writing. And one person who does that and has brought that content into the Federation, then David could fork that, then Jim, you could fork that, and you have different takes on it. And you do it in your own time, no hurry, and yet you're having this slow conversation with each other in terms of a research group. So might be a bit confusing. It is a bit confusing, but I hope I showed enough to just show how we can work with YouTube, we can work with Vimeo, we can work with archive.org, we can work with Twitter, we can work with anything with an API. So I can show you some other platforms you can just drag and drop in. Anything you search, Google Images, Flickr, drag and drop it in, bring it in, start writing together around this version. We all have our collective intelligence that way. And then we can come to a Zoom event, bring that into a single real-time collaborative document, put that together, and then that's a way that we can synthesize it. And that last synthesis stage is, we've just got a sketch of how to do that. And maybe within the DigiLife Collective, we can work with a more structured way of doing that form of synthesizing content. Federated Wiki is very good at giving a diversity of views all on the same content, and then seeing how people's individual perspective is different, but it tends to fragment the content into many versions. And we need two things to bring that together. We need a map of all this discussion and debate, and we need a process, a workflow to bring content which now might be across 20, 30, 40, 50 pages with multiple authors into a canonical document. And once we've got all those elements, I think we've got everything we need for a proper collaborative writing research environment. Yeah, I'll stop there. Just any questions, let me know what you think.
That's excellent. Now, I'm just missing little things here. Okay, if I come into the wiki here, okay, how, I don't see how I log in.
It's the little yellow padlock at the bottom left-hand hand of the page. But at the moment, you are looking at my site. You see, it says the site is owned, if you look at the bottom of the page, by David Boville.
I see.
That URL, that domain is my writing space, right? So you want your own writing space. So if just scrub the URL, or just put Jim in front of the URL at the top, jim.protoinstitute.
Now, this
Dot,
does support
and just hit return.
HTTPS, right?
I haven't got my server set up for HTTPS. It should be. Yeah.
Well,
So
I guess that requires a wildcard certificate.
Yeah, for a wiki farm. So that was one of the kind of problems, if you like. But I think Let's Encrypt has wildcard certificates as of a couple of months ago. I'm not sure, but that's what I understand. Now, if you look down the bottom of this page, you can see the yellow padlock. And this site isn't claimed yet. It's just been created, but anyone can write on it. So if you click on the yellow padlock, right at the bottom of the page, the bar at the bottom. See? No, you don't need to scroll. Just look with your eyes.
In the footer.
Yellow bar.
In the footer.
Look with your eyes at the bottom of the page, bottom of the window.
Oh, this down here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a bad GUI element. It should be, I mean, but yeah. Now you can log in with Google, but you can log in with Google, Twitter, or GitHub are the default OAuth ones. I'd also like to extend that.
I should have made it Jim Scarborough. Huh? I'm Jim Scarborough everywhere.
Okay. It's quite nice to use very short URLs because now you can see the site is owned by you, right? It should not, and you can log in, log out, but you can't edit yet because it's in read mode. This is, again, a stupid bit of bad UX design, but I basically asked Ward to add this read-only mode so it works on mobile and so that not everyone comes along can edit stuff. But if you see the word on the bottom bar again, which says wiki, if you click on that, it'll get ticked. And that means you can edit. And if you click on it once, you can edit. If you click on it again, it'll go back to read-only mode. It's a toggle, and it's just a little quick hack in the UX, and that needs to be fixed. But now you can double-click on anything to edit it.
That was my issue. What we did last week was we just did an apt install wiki.
Yeah.
And just run a wiki on a port.
Yep.
So that anybody who has an account on a machine can just run a wiki. They just have to have a port. But then we would have to, if we wanted to have this work with the wildcard URLs.
I'll show you how the configuration file works. Shall I do that? Because you can script this and create this automatically for your members and things like this. That's what I do sometimes as well. So is that useful to have a look at how the server configuration file works for the farms?
Absolutely. If that's, I think that, Robert and David, is that useful?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would like to get a server up, and I'm curious if it seemed like you were saying we would at least want a farm version of fedwiki, and that is this wildcard stuff with the domains kind of default to a farm, or that's extra? And then
okay, I'll just show you my kind of crappy setup, right? Okay. And then we can look at the proper way of doing it and how we'd like to do it in DigiLife. Shall we go through that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I will screen share. For instance, I have been aiming to redo the way that I host things, and I've done it like 3 different ways. And I've just, the way I did it, I just put it up in like about 5-10 minutes about 5 years ago, and I haven't touched it since. Well, I'll show you what I've touched, but what you should do is put it behind a reverse proxy like Nginx or something like that, and control things more reliably, and put it in DigiOcean. We'd have that, and we'd reveal access behind I assume an Nginx proxy. I've just got it running raw as node on a DigitalOcean droplet, so we'll have a look at that. But first of all, I'm going to share. I'm going to have a go at sharing the screen. Okay. So first of all, we might as well have a look at DigitalOcean, I guess, and see how it's set up there. DigitalOcean. So I don't know how your setup, sorry, is for DigitalOcean. I just typed the wrong thing. But I guess you've got it set up as an organization and everything, and you've got the Cloud ROM stuff. So we'd want to create a Docker with fedwiki on. Now Eric's done some work, and so has Jon in Berlin. So there's 2 different versions of Dockerized DigitalOcean, Dockerized fedwiki. I'm not going to show you that because I don't use it, but I can show you basically how it kind of works, and just raw, and I'll show you the configuration file. I'm not going to be able to show you how to do it in Docker here and then. I suggest that we schedule a separate meeting for that. Okay, but this will show you basically about the wildcard stuff. So I need to go to the Federation hosting group. So you can see this, yeah?
Yes.
So I basically have a lot of domains pointing at one droplet, and the droplet is called Atopia, and we'll see that in a second. And I often use some scripts, and so here's a bunch of domains on this droplet. So we have a look at, for instance, the one we're just looking at, the Proto Institute one. We'll see how it's set up. So if I search for Proto, here it is, okay? And this Proto Institute, and because DigitalOcean's got a nice API, you can create a mobile app or a little button which will automatically set up these DNS records. And basically, these are the DNS records. So you've got the A record, a C record to do www. This is just saying, obviously, that the DigitalOcean is handling the DNS. And then you just add a wildcard. So you just basically, type in a wildcard and an @ or you point it to the same that, and you get this a wildcard record here, which is what the wiki farm would use, and that is pointing to the one droplet, and all that droplet is running Node and Node and federated wiki. Excuse me, it's Java for you. Love Java. And if I show you now the configuration file and what the, if you like, the FTP looks like, I will do that now. So you'll just be able to see the layout there. So and the configuration file and how it kind of works. So here we've got basically, if you just have a look at the bottom folder here, all these folders are wiki sites. So for instance, if we take, I don't know, Memebase as a folder here, this folder contains 3 folders: assets, status, which contains the favicon, the sitemap, and the sitemap I can show you in a bit, but it's just basically a JSON file which lists all the pages on that site, and a sitemap in Google format, basically. But this pages a folder, it just contains this one contains 4 pages because there are 4 wiki pages on that site. A site which is larger than that, so for instance, I don't know, let's take a look at Outlandish Academy. So each folder is named after the URL. So Outlandish Academy you can get to by typing in HTTP, or if it's set up, HTTPS outlandish.academy. And then there's a whole bunch of pages for Outlandish Academy. And each one of these is just a JSON file. And this one might have, I don't know, 100 pages in it. And if you want to copy that folder or rename the site, you just rename the folder. So it's literally a mapping from the folder name to the URL. And it's a folder with a bunch of JSON files in it. I might be going through this a bit too quickly, but I don't want to take up too much time. Let's have a look at the configuration file. So there's a file called config.json. If I double click on it, it'll open it up in Atom. And you can have a look at how you might want to configure your server and the different options you have for different sites and different servers. Sorry, it's taking a little bit of while. So here is the configuration file. It's another JSON file. So you can see that here it's set to farm. So it's a farm. This is all kind of boilerplate here. It's using passport.js. And here you start to list all the domains that you want. So for instance, Andrew has got a site and he wants to use GitHub for his security. So you take the user and the secret for that. While a lot of the domains here, like all of these ones, are just using, deliberative network is using an identity file, my identity file, which is I store in a folder, it's using the default Google client ID and client secret for OAuth. This fedwiki.org is also using the same identity file and that. So basically, you have the flexibility depending on what domain to either set it up so all the domains and subdomains use the same identity file, or if you don't specify an identity file, each one can be claimed separately. Because if you have a look at the one we looked at earlier here, which was, I think, Meanbase, that was set up well, this one here, Outlandish Academy, that one there has a status in the status folder. So I'm double clicking on it. Has an owner JSON file, and when you log in and you register, this is what gets stored. So you basically store the email and the Google ID. So if someone else claims, as they probably will have done, another thing like Pamela.Outlandish Academy will have owner JSON file here, which is Pamela's file. So that's what literally happens when you claim a site. You just create this file on it in the wiki farm. So you basically have the option of this global configuration file of saying, for instance, we have so many members, I will create this site for someone and I will create this way of that particular person logging in and pre-fill it, or you can let them go and log in and claim it themselves, in which those individual JSON files will be created, right? So roughly speaking, I'm just saying, yeah, here's the global configuration file. You could script that based on your membership information, and there are different ways of doing that login. You don't have to use OAuth and Google. You could use a password version or your own version of that, or you allow people to claim it themselves. And there are 3 ways by default set, which is Twitter, GitHub, and Google that you can use, as well as just email password version. So yeah, you basically, on this default server, if we set up a server, would have a folder with JSON files in it, one per domain. You can, if you want to point new domains to that wiki farm, because this is one wiki farm, and I've got 120 different domains and about 40 different kind of root domains pointing to that wiki farm. And with a $5 server, that seems to work perfectly well if you just have a small group and not a large load on it. And you can customize individual ones to be a personal wiki farm. So, you know, if David wants daviding.org, that could be his own personal wiki farm. Or you could have david.digilife.org, and that could be just his one URL. And you could say everything above that, like test.daviding.digilife.org, is all that stuff, subdomains above that belong to David Ing, and we can do different things like that. So by deciding how you want to configure things, you could write this. Obviously, you can do it manually in a text editor, but you would want a tool to basically generate this file for you. So I've got some code to generate that JSON file. Or you just do you would just have this configuration here: farm true, security type passport, security type admin, and you'd say something like Google, Twitter, what have you, the one domain, create it as a wiki farm and leave it. And then people would have to go in and sign in themselves, and anyone could go in and claim it and sign it, whether they were part of the DigiLife collective or not. Or you need to tie it to your own membership and authentication stuff. So there's that, I think.
So, you're not using Nginx or another server around this, or?
Yeah, so that I'm not on that server. That's why I want to move off and pull together and do it properly in a Dockerized way behind either Nginx or Caddy. Those are the two ways that. So quite a lot of people in fedwiki use Caddy because of its built-in HTTPS updating, auto-updating, and that works very well. And so I think we've got one Docker which has Caddy as the kind of reverse proxy behind the node server and using HTTPS. And that's one robust way of doing it. I'm not sure how Jon is doing it, but he likes to use the kind of open source Docker stuff. I've forgotten what it's called, Doku and things like that, right? For the orchestration and marshalling. And he has a particular way of doing that. With a group called Indie Hosters. So we could hook up with him and say, look, hey, Jon, how are you doing your Dockers? But Eric, I believe, has got a Docker with Caddy as the reverse proxy and node all set up. I don't think he's actually got it set up for DigitalOcean yet, but he wants to. He had it set up as a dev environment locally. So if you like, the work to do that way of doing it would be we could build on that. I'm actually recommending I want to do a different thing, which is with the group that I'm working with Lauren and Johnny and what have you, and Ollie and also Colin and another guy called Jason. I want to work on putting Federated Wiki under, I don't know if you know the project, but it's called Graal Virtual Machine, Graal VM. And what that allows you to do, and we've done a test only locally on that, so the DigitalOcean droplet I want to get up is the version we did locally, is get Graal VM, then do node install, put it in a Docker, and get it up in the DigiLife collective cluster. And what that lets you do is program features that you might want, community features you might want, in You can customize the server, add a bit of Ruby code or a bit of Python code or a bit of Java or a bit of C++. And that way, you know, if within the collective there are people with specific coding skills, they can easily extend the offering because it's a polyglot server that runs very lightweight and very fast. In particular, I want to integrate a Ruby project that does the legal governance. So there's some Ruby code, and then you can have Federated Wiki and the Ruby code being run, and you can mix and match both. So you could start to put the governance stuff within this sort of environment. But that's a pilot I want to get up and running. And you might say, hey, we don't want this polyglot Graal virtual machine stuff. We want it behind Nginx, or we don't want that. We want it behind Caddy. And we could have 2 or 3 experiments. But I definitely want to do one with this Graal virtual machine. So we can talk about that if you want. What would you fancy, Jim or Robert, in terms of hosting?
Well, you know, if we're going to plan to make a Docker image that's a Cloud Run plugin,
yeah,
I think we first have to get all the chinks out, making it a separate server. And
yeah.
then, you know, once we have that process down, then we have to make it go through making it a plugin.
Yeah.
If you want to use identities from Mattermost, I believe we have to do I have to look at what we have to do. Mattermost has an LDAP interface, and it has, you know, basically the API interfaces simply with a login password.
So it uses LDAP.
That would be the issue, is identities.
Okay.
In the longer term, initially we could do it more ad hoc.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. So my thought is, I don't know, because basically, I guess do you have an Nginx? You have an Nginx reverse proxy in front of everything, do you?
Correct.
Right. So we don't really want a Docker with either. We kind of don't want. I don't think we need either Nginx on that. That's just overkill, and we don't really need the other server. What's the one that I mentioned before?
Is it Caddy?
Caddy. I mean, we don't need either of those really then, because you've got your own reverse proxy. So it would be better to have it raw. So we can either just put the raw fedwiki node server up, but what I would like to do is do that under the Graal virtual machine. So you just get Graal up. It's a little. I mean, we can download that now and have a go at that now, because it's literally 5 minutes. And what I would say, I mean, I think we should just discuss it now and figure out what the different needs people are. And I could bring together, for instance, Colin and Ward last week did on Ubuntu local server, it got fedwiki up and running. We just replicate that for a DigitalOcean droplet, and then we work out turning that into a Docker container next, and we do it step by step.
I think we're going to have a lot of problems trying to run that under Cloud Run. Because Cloud Run does too much for us and certificates, and does not handle wildcards. I think that's going to be problematical. I think for now, I think that we should plan on doing a separate server. We can investigate putting it under Cloud Run later, but I really think that's going to be problematical, and that would hold us up. The more I think about it, the more I know what a headache it's going to be, because Cloud Run takes over your whole configuration. Nginx is running on the machine. It has port 80 and 443.
Right.
I think it would be a problem. I mean, we could try it with the. We could try adding another configuration. We could do that for the wiki we have installed on robot.net. Of course, it may be we would change the configuration to be a farm, and we would add an Nginx configuration for it, and it would run on port 80. And
how about this as a thought then, right? I don't know what you think. I'm just thinking of this as well. So in general, the way I think the appropriate way to see Federated Wiki is as a quite specialized collaborative editing environment for people who are really, really motivated into writing with various research groups, right? It's not a general community tool, okay? But the content that's created, the JSON files that is created with that and organized that way, and brought together and forked and moved around, that can be brought in and used in all sorts of ways within the Digital Life Collective, right? So, for instance, it can be, if you're writing in CodeMD and you're writing a document and you want to bring in 15 bits of material that's been in the kind of research archive, you should be able to kind of just say, I want that, brings it into a CodeMD document, and then you start writing away together, right? If you want to link to, various other things. So what you could have is a separate server, and the other thing is, the thing that Federated Wiki is particularly nice for is when you have a group or a project that want to do something under its own domain, yeah? So what you kind of want is a little bit of a world where people can easily point their own domains, manage their own domains, point that at this kind of writing space, get that together, have their own sort of separate group identity, but be borrowing stuff from the kind of DigiLife collected, orchestrated content, which is kind of curated and worked out. So that's sort of seeming to point to me that, yeah, let's get it up on its own separate server, and then let's work out how DigiLife can kind of orchestrate, curate, and bring in the diversity of content in the Federation in an organized way into some way that they want onto their website, and into, pick the best quality out of it, get people to work and synthesize 4 or 5 different opinions in an agreed, that sort of thing. So that means also we could write software that within the Cloudron managed universe that does DigiLife stuff to Federated Wiki content, but we've got this space just outside Cloudron, which means, if David Ing wants to use this particular domain for the science research pattern language community, he can do that there. And then there is a way of bringing that into the DigiLife stuff and the CodeMD stuff and what have you. And that's the dance between the two things.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. That seems like a better stepwise way to do it. If we get it working on its own.
Yeah.
We try to see if we can do it on a shared server.
Yeah.
Nginx. And that brings us, and if we can do that, then we can try to make the Docker image.
Cool.
For it. So,
okay. And then the other thing that I talked to Joachim about was that needed to be sort of decided. So I don't know how this will work, but needed to be decided at like board level or whatever it is in the DigiLife Collective is I proposed that we get up a DigitalOcean droplet and pay for it as an experimental sort of space to do this Graal virtual machine, what have you, and then just pay for it monthly to DigiLife Collective and start that as an initiative. So if another group also want to do a similar sort of thing, they can do that as well. On the other hand, it sounds like what we've been discussed here is just doing it as a core DigiLife Collective project. But if it's then, you know, for instance, I don't know what you think about that, but it might even be that there are a common code base and two different servers, one that is being experimented with this particular group that's adding its own code to that, and then there's the kind of education commons or whatever it's called aspect, which is a separate server. So I don't know how you think about that, but I was assuming beforehand that the sort of group that like Lauren's been convening, we got set it up as a co-op and a bank account, and we put $5 a month into the DigiLife Collective, but we just put it on your GitHub cluster so that we can experiment as tightly as possible with the collaboration, but then the core costs aren't collective costs, if you like. So what do you think about that, Jim?
Yeah, I wish we had gotten permission before this meeting today to create a server on DigitalOcean.
Yeah.
I could always create it under DigitalOcean. It's always easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but basically and also because I haven't done it, I wouldn't mind, because the way that I would like to get the skill set of is to be able to, I want to create this kind of egg layer for small co-ops, right? So you can basically pop up a new DigitalOcean server and then transfer the whole ownership and rights to that co-op. And then they can do the billing, and then they can look after their own data in that sort of way. So, like, for instance, just getting that, we could get up a DigitalOcean server either now or do it properly, and I could get probably either Eric or Jon and Ward to drop in as well to help, and we could just do a kind of pair programming hack on it. And then we try that for a bit, and then we could transfer that to the DigiLife Collective and the ownership of it, you know. And the other thing that's nice with the DigitalOcean, which I haven't used properly myself, is we just take a snapshot of it, you know, at that stage, and then we can just transfer that. And if we need another one, we just take that snapshot, put that up for a new droplet, and we've got a way of spawning these quite easily under their own domains.
Yeah, I can create one now, or we can reschedule. It's been an hour, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know how to do it badly and insecurely. I'm not a sysadmin, so basically we'd be better off getting someone else involved. But we can have a go now quickly. I mean, in a few minutes we can get one up.
Okay. I can create a droplet, and which droplet do we want to create?
Just a node droplet, the default node droplet under Ubuntu 16.04, I believe. But it's literally been 2-3 years since I did that, but it was very easy. So I think there's container distribution up there.
Or let's see, container distribution.
And I think you've got a node. No, not that one. Marketplace probably now. It's changed a lot. All snapshots. I don't know which.
Custom images.
Maybe, yeah. No, that's your own one. I think it'll be Marketplace is what I think it is. Marketplace. And I think there'll be a whole bunch of ones. And you want to look for the node one under there. So node, yeah. And now we need to do, there's that one there. That looks, that one will do.
Looks like it has the right logo.
Yeah.
Of course, they have that on other nodes as well.
Yeah, they'll have several. That one, my guess is that one's the standard one. It's more recent than, for instance, what I run, but yeah. And yeah, you don't need a big one, just a tiny little one will do.
Where's the
$5 one? I don't know. There it is.
Show all plans. Now, that's, I saw that the other day.
Right.
So I won't enable backups yet. I'll stick it in New York.
How dare you? Let's put it in Bangalore.
Bangalore, you really?
Nah, I'm joking. I don't mind.
I always check IP6.
Okay.
And that's because I had upgrading it is a little bit of a pain if you need IP6 later.
Yeah.
And I won't add any SSH keys at this time.
Oh, I always do that, but yeah. Okay.
Add it. But then how do you, if I add a key, then you all won't be able to sign in, right? I have to add your keys.
True. But you can add my key if you want. Yeah. All right. I only do it key-based.
Let's use a password for now.
Okay.
And the host name. We'll just call it
fedwiki.
Let's just call it Wiki Farm.
Okay.
And we'll create it. And this out of the way here. Okay. So we should have a and I use putty. Wiki Farm, and let me just quickly here make the font a little bigger. And let me save this and open it. And accept token. root. Okay, current password for root.
What's the password?
Um, I'll put it in the chat
Okay.
because this is did I get that right? No.
Yeah, you want to put it in the chat, either privately or to everyone. I don't know what you want.
I think I got that right. Oops.
Got you.
Retype new password. Didn't I just do that? What do you mean password does not match? I did. I pasted it in. I must have pasted it in twice or something.
It's not letting me do it either. Hang on. W.
Yeah, no, I didn't set the password yet.
Oh.
Set the password when you come in.
Oh no, I need that long password, don't I?
Looks like your cap lock is on. Maybe that was an issue too.
Ooh. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, there were no caps. Not supposed to be any caps in that.
Why are we not using that long password?
Because it makes you change it the first login.
Ah, got you. Yeah. So you changed it, and you changed it to what you posted there, but it's not.
No, I didn't. Wasn't supposed. Access denied. That's weird. The one password doesn't work now, but it should. It's got to work. Oh, I know. I know why. I didn't type in. I'm going to paste this, copy this one more time. I can't imagine why that password's not working. I could try the one I tried to set it to, but I think you tried that. It didn't work, right?
I didn't. Sorry, I wasn't watching. I was busy logging in myself. So.
Yeah, no. I think you tried the first one I put in, right?
Yeah.
You didn't try that. Not taking any password now.
Do you want to copy paste that long password into the chat as well, so I can have a go from here?
Does it matter that root's caps lock, or it really does? It's case insensitive.
No, it's case sensitive.
Okay, because you've been typing root all capitals.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. So are you going to change the password?
Okay.
Change it to
Well,
that.
you might as well just root in and do it the way you like, because I'm sure it's just that all caps problem. So you just
Log in as root. I'm still got caps lock. How could that be? Jeez. Really fat fingering today. I'll make sure I got that. Current password. And then new password. What was that? Okay, password's reset.
there you go.
Okay, so I do an apt install wiki.
It should already have npm in, so just type, I don't know, npm -v and let's see what's there. And what's that say? npm. Yeah, so you've already got Node Package Manager installed, so you install using Node Package Manager. So you just do npm -g for global, no, -g install wiki. Yeah. And that'll go and fetch all the packages and install in your root directory everything you need in some other path, all the npm stuff.
So do we want to create another account for to run Wiki, or we're going to let Wiki run as root?
Let's just run it as root, because I think what we need to do is just you know, not use this, but install it using Docker later, don't we, or some other way. So this is just getting the basics and getting familiar with it. But I mean, if you want, you can. It's just like you know, to do it properly. I think you.
Yeah, we wouldn't use Docker now, would we? I mean, we would have installed a Docker image, not a.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I think we need to do it properly. So we can get it up temporarily now.
It shouldn't be necessary to add an extra level of virtuality with Docker if we're going to dedicate the machine. I mean, they have packages for Docker, so that we could have chosen a Docker image rather than if we're running a Docker image. There's no need to install Wiki here. It's installed inside the Docker image.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're like inside the Docker image.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to make a Docker image. We're like inside of it. If this works, we can make a Docker image of this.
Yeah, we can do that as well. All I'm saying is that I would have rather work with the other groups or other people that have been creating Docker images already. Because I mean, just rather than create an additional package, it would be good to use the same one that they're using.
I don't know why we would use a Docker image. I mean,
Just because, well, from my point of view, what I want to be able to do is just with one command be able to pop up a package. Well, there's two ways of doing it. You could either use the DigitalOcean droplet to do that, right? Or you do it in a more universal way, get a Docker image together so that you know, well, you could put it under Cloud Run, you could put it under something else. But I certainly want to be able to pop up, like, 10, 20 a day of these servers for groups.
I see. Yeah, that would be, if you were going to put, now, but if you put, you're saying you want to put up many different farms.
Yes, basically every independent project which would want to run as a little mini collective should have its own minimal farm. Yeah.
Okay, but for now we're just making one farm. Right?
Yeah. So okay, I mean, that's what I'm saying. For me, yeah, this is like, I thought this would just be a test. We can start using it, get the hang of it, but then we'd want to do it in this way in which we'll be able to pop up.
Right.
So I mean, for instance, what I'm really interested in doing is getting this hosting done properly and in a more interesting way. I would like to do it with the Graal virtual machine. If we're going to do it in the way that we're talking about outside of the Cloud Run stuff, then we probably want to use the Dockerized version that already has Caddy set up and what have you, and do it that way. I'm just showing here just the bad way of doing it, that my server's kind of done this way.
Right.
Very quick and very...
So we're running a wiki now.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the background.
Actually, I had a question. Even if we set it up this way, because of what you showed earlier about the files being so easy to just copy over, that even if people started using this and,
yes,
okay, in the future you've got your Graal VM working and all that, we can just copy it over and it'll almost be like, and we can change the DNS and then it's back to, you wouldn't even have noticed, right?
Yes.
Cool, that's awesome.
Okay, so we have a .wiki, we have with pages.
Yeah.
Do we have a configuration file?
I'm not sure.
It looks like we don't.
I don't think you do. I think you just put that in the right. I will also show you what the notes are for doing that. But basically, you should now be able to. You see, what I have is a little startup script. You just edit. Mine's in, can't remember, Nginx startup script, which basically the command line is like, instead of, I think, what did you just enter? Wiki.
Well, that's where it's put the pages. So I figured.
No, how did you start the server? What command did you?
Wiki.
You just type wiki, yeah. So you do something like wiki -- farm or something like that is the actual command line but I can't remember what it is. I have it in my startup script, right? And then you start wiki in farm mode. You can probably do wiki -- help, yeah. And I can look it up for what it is, yeah. And I have quite a lot of documentation. I'll find it for you because I haven't looked at it before. Admin.
Security type.
I'll tell you in a sec.
I could just try this again. Okay. Warning, starting wiki farm in Prometheus mode.
Let me just show you. I was looking for the documentation here. Where are you? Where have you gone? It says warning. What does it say?
Starting wiki farm in promiscuous mode.
That looks like a complete misspelling to me.
Using default security, wiki farm will be read-only.
Yeah. So basically, you started it with wiki -- farm. I think then you need to do security type equals and something, right? But let me just find what the actual startup line I have on my server is. That's what I'm looking. And I'll also post you the link to that so you can find stuff. And I've got a little video. Like I say, I haven't done this in a while. But let's have a look. So this here is the site where I originally documented what I did for my server. Yeah, actually, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a startup script that will do it all for you. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah. It says basically, well, it says, but you've sort of already done it. You can try doing it again. It says basically you can do that. Just get it from GitHub if that's still there. But again, I haven't done this in a long time. And here it's talking about how you harden it, set up SSH keys, testing your server setup. Okay.
Simpler, older.
It looks
So
kind
which
of.
instruction should I be following here?
Sorry, I'm looking at the a different screen. Yeah, I think actually if you go up a little bit, scroll up, and where it says Federated Wiki on DigitalOcean, click on that link down. Federated Wiki on DigitalOcean. No, Federated Wiki on DigitalOcean, the full line, that's it. No, down, 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 down. It's big title. No, in the middle page, right in the middle of the screen, Federated, no, you scrolled past it. Up, Federated Wiki on DigitalOcean.
Okay,
No,
so you get out of here.
just click on that link there. Yeah. And that's actually got a video, I believe, of installing it under Nginx. And here, I think it will say about how to set up the in the second tutorial. Yeah, here how to set up the config, the staff, and the startup script.
This is all server setup stuff. This looks like it's a good guide. So it says install Node.js, huh?
Yeah, well, that's obviously been done, yeah. Yeah, all of that's been done. Sorry, I just want to know, you need to skip through to the configuration of Nginx. And so you've done this sudo npm install -g wiki, right? So go down further.
Right, now Nginx, is that should be installed also, right? Already?
Hang on, I don't think you need to do that. That's just for custom installs. Don't bother with that. It's this init script, fedwiki here, there. So you can see here, yeah, that's the startup script, which basically issues wiki. I don't know why it's wiki twice. Sudo wiki -F for farm mode, and don't know. My bash isn't good enough for that, but that's basically what I have. I don't even know if I got that set up. I have to have a look at it. Yeah, so this here's got some stuff about how you configure Nginx. So I can look at my configuration, but since I don't actually want to do it under Nginx, I'd probably want to do it with the Caddy server. I can and do it that way if we're doing it like it's an independent little server here.
Okay, I did have some instructions here for using Caddy.
Yeah, I think that since I haven't got Caddy, because I want to actually do it differently, I want to do it with the Graal virtual machine, and just arrange a session with Ward and Colin to get DigitalOcean Droplet up and the Graal, and then. But let me also see, because there is some further documentation about the Caddy server. So I'll find that for you.
So we don't want to mess with DigitalOcean. I mean, with Nginx.
Sorry, I don't quite know where we are in that. I'm not sure what is already installed with that Ubuntu node package. I don't know if
I'm sure that's has Nginx installed.
You think so? Okay. Then yeah, then you can have a go at the configuration options there. All the documentation should be there, and I think if you look at the fedwiki server installation video and scroll to the right bit, you can see exactly what I did there. I'm just going to look up the Caddy stuff right now. I think I'm kind of intrigued.
Oops.
General Caddy, federated wiki with Caddy. Whose is that?
Ooh.
Paul Rockwell.
It looks like it's not there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it's there. I would have thought it's a raw node server, and you're just running it without the prop. You know, what I would have thought you want to do is take that, whatever that, the configuration and the information, and just do that for your node, your proxy.
Yeah, I can install Nginx, or I can install Caddy, right?
Yeah, and here's the page for the Caddy stuff, because that's Paul who does that. So if I just give you a link to that page.
Is this page any good?
Let me just see. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm on a different screen. I think so. Yes, that's it. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually a DigitalOcean Caddy droplet already set up for you.
So this is not open source. It says personal license.
Which one?
Caddy.
I was sure Caddy was fully open source. It could be dual licensed.
Now, what about a domain? We have to assign a domain to this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You can have one of mine if you want, or you can put your own one there. Or a subdomain of something.
How about we have okay, so this is Wiki Farm. We can go to manage networking, and we'll make it wiki.socialledger. Whoops.
Okay.
Oh, holy mackerel. I created it under DigitalOcean.
You did what?
I created it under the Digital Life accidentally.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well, I guess like you can always delete it or remove it. So under diglife.coop, I'll add wiki and we'll create a record for wiki, and then we'll do a star.wiki.
I don't know if you can do that. I think you just need, well, maybe you can.
That's what they say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Didn't complain.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay. And did this work? Successful install. Okay. Use to allow it to be run not as root, and use privilege. To allow it to be run not as root, uses privilege ports 80 and 443. Okay. You need to tell Upstart how to start stop Cabby. The file you need prevent it is tabby.com.
Yeah, you can just click on that link to get it. You want to get the raw file probably.
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
get it this way. And it says I need to put
It's
that,
open in a new tab, so you can just go to the tab before. Yeah.
put that in Etsy cat. Wait, where am I?
Etc. in it, caddy conf.
Etsy,
Etc. in it, caddy.conf.
oh, Etsy and Net.
Yeah. Etc. in it.
All right.
init,
Oh,
etc. init.
thank you. Whoops. Can't open file for writing. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Check to see that the folders are there. The paths there.
That's the init.
Well, no, I wouldn't create it if it isn't there. It'll be wrong, I would say.
Why?
I don't know, because the caddy paths will be different and the documentation is wrong. If it's the folders aren't there, I would say the path's wrong and it's somewhere else we need to put the caddy conf. No? I wouldn't go.
I think we should try it.
Okay. Let me see what's there. Yeah.
Then it wants to accept caddy file, which probably doesn't exist either. Doesn't exist. And what does it want in caddy file?
So etc. is there, but no init.
To hold your config, create a caddy file.
There is etc. in it.
Yeah, I created the set init.
Yeah, there's caddy conf there. I can see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I put it there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And that's the init. Yeah. Now
Yeah, it's all there. I don't know why it said it couldn't write it.
Caddy file. So this is the example caddy file here.
No, okay.
So now what we want to change this. We want to change example.wiki. Forward one comma $sign substitute slash exit example dot wiki to wiki dot biglife dot co-op slash global. Okay. TLS, my email at wiki.biglife.coop. What does it want here?
I guess that's your. I'm not sure because I haven't done this and I wasn't paying too much attention. But I guess that's your let's encrypt email contact.
So I would put in Jim Scarver. This is where we need a Dig Life email. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But I don't think so. It doesn't need to be at the same domain. I just think it emails you and reminds you that your certificates are going to expire, but it shouldn't need this because Caddy should update it, but it might need whatever email you've registered these things with.
Well, Let's Encrypt emails you if it has a problem or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the max search should be.
That looks a reasonable number. I only use 2 or something, so. But it depends how many domains you think you'll host there.
So according to this is ready to go.
Sounds a bit ambitious to me, but Caddy's supposed to be pretty easy.
Now this is working on 443, which is what Caddy's supposed to do, all the certificates, right?
Yeah.
And then we Caddy.service not found. Okay. That has to do with the init. Probably has to do with the init directory not existing.
But the init directory does exist.
I created it.
Oh, you created it, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's an error. I think what it wanted was the init.d directory.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
What Ubuntu are we on?
18. What is it? I always forget the command to get the version. But yeah, 1804. Where am I here? Oh, I'm in root.wiki. That's where we
You wanted to see what initd was.
what? -d I wanted. Okay, we have initd. Okay, so
And initd I cannot. There's a load of stuff in it. It's got some documentation and GitHub there.
okay, now that we put it in the initd directory, now it should recognize it as a service. Nope. So much for that.
Says here, running Caddy server as a service with Upstart.
Caddy.conf. Why is it caddy.conf? caddy.com.
Well, you might want to look at this as well, because it was linked to, but
With Upstart.
I'm not sure, but it's got some notes there. And
It says user init caddy.com. Etsy Caddy exists, which we created. And that the subfolder .caddy is owned by www.data. Create the file. Now use sudo service caddy start stop restart. So
you also didn't do that set cap thing.
right. And I didn't do this. Etsy Caddy, .caddy. So I need to make a directory.
The other thing to do.
.caddy. I make a directory .caddy. And then I have to change the owner to www-data. Is that right? .caddy. Okay, now we're ready.
Okay.
And we should do sudo service start. No.
I don't know.
Caddy service, not fast. Set cat. .NET bind service equal plus EP.
By the way, Jim,
Yeah.
you're in the fedwiki chat, aren't you? On Riot. So Paul 90 is the guy who wrote that help on Caddy. He's London-based, London time. So I'm just, he might be, I don't know if he's there now. He might be online now. But pinging him, he can sort of, because, yeah, I mean, he's the easiest person to ask about this particular setup, because it's not necessarily the best at documenting everything, but it's very helpful if you catch him. And since I haven't done the caddy install, number one, and number two, and far more important, it's 10:30 at night, and I still haven't had breakfast. So I haven't eaten all day. So.
Says update. You need to run caddy as a service with System D.
Yeah.
Check out this blog post.
Yeah, that's I posted that in there. But I'm just saying I'm going to have to run and get something to eat now because I'll leave the Zoom open. But am I deserting you terribly? I don't know how much help I'm being here. But.
Right.
Well, I'll stick around for some moral support. I'm even less help than you've been. So
well, this is the instructions here. Okay, we have to set up a caddy.service, which
that looks right. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so we create this file, and then it should run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm turning my mic off now.
Okay.
Good luck with that, and I'll be back after I've eaten.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how long we're going to stay, but you can always check the video. I'll post it. Should I post it listed or unlisted?
Sorry?
Should I post the video as listed?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. I'm happy to share my incompetence.
We'll see you later then. You can always catch the video later.
Yeah, definitely will do.
A pen. Okay, so I'm going to take this whole file. And stick it in here. And I probably should get rid of that bogus file I put in .b. Why don't I do that while I'm thinking of it? RM, etc, .d, caddy.comp, and I'll try it started.
oh, nice.
Running. So what happens if we go to wiki.biglife.coop? I can't be reached. Okay.
Refuse connection.
UFW status.
What's that do?
Shows us what ports are open on the firewall.
Okay.
Firewall. And it looks like our ports are 80 and 443 are open. So where is the log? CD, where was I? What's this working directory? Home Matthias.
Yeah, maybe that's something's hard coded that we don't actually need.
I see. That's very suspect.
Oh, and it also says user Matthias.
Let's try to stop here. And let's do a tail / etc / pa sswd. Okay, we don't have a user. Now the user was telling us to access was www data. Your carry file is in the working directory. caddy-comp. Okay, so I will edit that file, but it doesn't look like we have a user here. So do I want to add user or user add? I always forget. Badly.
I haven't learned yet, so. Oh, that www data was a user.
Is that the user we put?
That's what you changed some sort of ownership to, www-data.
Okay. So we're going to add that user. It says it already exists. Never mind. I didn't look at the whole file here. I assumed it would be toward the end of the file. I looked at the end of the tail of the Etsy password. So look for it. Okay, so we have www data user. So we want to make the user www/data, and we want the working directory where we put the caddy file was in etc caddy.
Then change it in the exec start line as well. etc caddy, or wait, is it caddy or www data?
We're not running we can caddy's a system command, right? And I don't know if we need this email here. We have the email in the caddy file. But I guess I can stick it here. I don't know what this means or anything. Pasted it in there. um, exec format error. Probably wanted the full path there. I don't know why. Let's see. Exec format error. It says C. Chopped off. Executable path is not Apple.
Didn't you save it?
I don't get it. I saved it. Quit. I don't know. Let me try this again. But so why is he getting the old value? System control daemon reload. That worked. No, I guess I didn't do it after the last error. I guess whenever you change that, you have to reload the daemon.
Hmm.
So now Caddy's running.
Cool.
So we can try wiki dot big life dot co-op. Bad gateway.
Well, a different error is, I guess, a good sign.
Yeah.
I think I recognize that one.
Oh, David might have heard us, unless he's talking to somebody else.
No, I'm talking to you, Jim. I put some food on, so it's cooking. So that bad gateway, just from memory, is.
Oh, you just muted yourself, or maybe somebody accidentally muted you, but.
I muted him.
Oh. Oh, why is he muted again? Who keeps muting?
Hey, I thought you weren't talking to us. Sorry about that.
All right, now what's happened? Why does it say can't be reached?
You put the port 3000.
Not the port. Don't worry about the port, right? Just get rid of the port. Go back to it.
Oh, 3000 isn't, port isn't open.
Yeah, just get rid of the port. Yeah, go back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is basically, as far as I understand, as far as I remember, that's the config file.
Yeah. So
so you need the wiki config file, not the caddy. It's not caddy. It's to do with the
Nginx.
No, it's not that either. I believe you get that error. Like I get that error when my config.json for wiki isn't right.
It's not running.
Okay.
Oh.
But you don't need Nginx. You're running caddy. You don't need Nginx.
Oh, no. What am I thinking?
So my understanding is that it's if you go into the .wiki folder where we installed it, which should be root.wiki probably, because I think you installed it in root. But I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know this particular installation, so I'm not sure where we've got, because you've been following this caddy installation. But all I know is that bad gateway you get if the config.json isn't set up. In other words, if the wiki server doesn't know the root, then it'll say bad gateway. So you've got to find out where in this caddy installation the wiki folders are. The wiki folder for all the server stuff is, and we've got to set the. So I'm just going to have a look at the help here that you have. Where is it? Where is? Okay.
The .conf.
You need. There should be a .wiki folder somewhere, an invisible folder for wiki. And if you just use npm, it'll be installed wherever, you know, like in the root folder or in your user folder, you use a home folder. So you could try, you know, /.wiki and see what's there. But I'm just
okay. So I have to look. Let me just. I'm going to change the ownership of everything too.
okay. I'm just having a look at the.
So.
Caddy configuration stuff, etc. Caddy file. This is all just installing Caddy. It's the TLS stuff. And
there it is. Oh, we have the caddy.conf is in initd. Oops.
okay, so it looks like, yeah, so the Caddy conf is just active.
Now it's my turn. I need to go, but I'll check back in later.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, why don't we have a look at? Well, I can have a look. I'm logged in.
Quiet.
I'm just gonna have a look what's there. So ls/.
So it doesn't look like there's anything here in this file that says anything about.
Got basically a .wiki folder in the root.wiki.
So that would be in the other file, right? That would be in the caddy file.
/root/.wiki.
So we have a .caddy, we don't have a .wiki. Here.
Yeah, but you're in completely the wrong place. You're in etc. caddy. Go to cd cd. Space /root. No, on there. Just
there's no home for www. Oh, yeah, there is a home for www.
Jim. No.
www. Let's look here.
Listen, Jim. Can you hear me?
No such file in a directory. I'm saying, look here.
Jim, do you want to listen to me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, can you just go to CDs? No, not wait. No. Go back. CD /root. If you're not there already, but /root /dot.
Yeah, that's the same .wiki.
Dot.
Yeah, that's where we are. We're in /root.
Wiki. .wiki. Go back. Dot.
Look where we are. PWD. We're in /root.
Okay.
So this is it. CD.wiki.
Go /.wiki. and you can hit tab, but yeah, there'll be a folder there. And then ls, and you should have see pages. Right. So here you are in the folder, and now we need to know where to put the config.json. And that because I usually have a wiki farm there. So the pages wouldn't there. So you might be able to put config.json just where we are now in this root folder, this .wiki folder. So if you just, I think that's what we need is a config.json file there. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. That you might well be able to do it without the config.json, just by having the right kind of parameters in the upstart script or whatever it is that is launching the wiki server. But I have a config file in that root folder, and without that, I get bad gateway.
Okay. But for some reason, it doesn't give us that.
Doesn't give you up? So the config.json file is of that sort of format, which looks a bit like, but I think I might have some documentation on what it looks like and maybe a sample file. I'm going to have to go and stop my food burning in a bit. Hang on, config.json. Yeah, here's some config.json stuff. There's some notes on the config.json file. The last one of those, yeah, you can see that's an example file there, and you might be lucky if you just put that at root, and you need to, where it says the wiki domains, put in the, not consenya.me, but the actual the wiki file. Yeah, okay, I don't know what file that is you got, but yeah. And where it says consenya.me, there are two domains there. I think you should just be able to put, get rid of the whole line consenya.me, and then whatever the domain, it's wiki.digilife.coop or whatever. With, I don't think you need anything in there.
You're suggesting I take out
the whole line consenya.me. This is that within the wiki domains sort of nested section, you just list all the domains you want.
Right.
So you take out consenya.me, because that would be for a domain called consenya.me, and overwrite bushido.academy with your domain. And I think it's fine it all being empty. You then need, you will need to authenticate and log in. You'll need a Google, if you want Google client ID and secret, but you can leave that as is. And you can also, you can probably leave the admin. That's for special stuff. If you want which you will want, you want the ability to install plugins and update them. But just that should work. It should set it as farm, passport, and Wiki should know that domain. So if I'm right, which I'm not sure if that file's even in the right place, because
do I need star.
Sorry?
Do I need star.wiki?
Yeah, you need to reload the wiki to reload the conf. So you can probably just do restart wiki. That's the proxy. You don't need to restart the Caddy server. You need to restart the wiki server. So I think you just need to do, if you're in root, you don't need sudo, so you can just do wiki restart. Just do wiki restart. Or in fact, I think it's, wiki restart, or wiki stop, and wiki start. Yeah, that looks like all right. So it's taking a long time. There you
go. Okay.
Might work.
And
I'd keep that open. Okay. That looks good. There you are.
Sweet.
Okay.
Now we can set, this is not secure.
That's not secure, no. And I'm not sure how you set that up to only do secure, but I think Caddy should do both. So if you do HTTPS, maybe it'll work. I don't know. And you also need to set up the OAuth for Google or whichever it is there.
There I am, Jim Scarver, Wiki Life. We got it. Okay, the only thing we're going to do now is, now how come? Okay, so I'm running wiki to the terminal here.
Probably, yeah. So you need that upstart script.
If I hit,
I don't know what to do there, but I think you just need the upstart script, but I don't know. And then
now, if I do this, it stops.
Yes. What did you do there? You did.
So if I do foreground, if I do Control C, then this is no longer running. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you need that upstart script. I'm not sure. Do you know what? I'm not sure, but as far as I know, that upstart script runs with whatever it is, the whole systemd Linux stuff to keep an eye on the server and reboot it if it goes down and stuff.
So where was that?
So I've got a page here for upstart script. You can basically search, the wiki for all this sort of stuff. And again, but I'm literally about to faint and my food's being burnt. So there's something about the upstart script. That is for Ubuntu. Again, I'm not really.
I'm just wondering how we started it before. Sudo service wiki restart. There's one that was how we did it. Okay, I'll look at that again. Oh. This one. See the script notes on site. So we created this script and now it doesn't tell us how to run it.
How to run it? I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if it's needed. I just always shell in, and then as long as it's I run start wiki, it runs. But I have configured that upstart script myself.
Just start.
Start wiki. Probably, sorry, wiki start. Yeah, sorry.
Well, wiki start.
Yeah, and as far as I understand it, that runs the upstart script, but I don't know.
Okay. But this is running at the terminal. It's not what we want.
I think if you just exit now, you know, it'll still be running.
I don't think so.
Okay, it is for me.
Yeah. Well, I tried that.
I think you stopped it and it wasn't running.
What happened to it? I don't know where it went. Yeah, gateway.
Okay.
So in any case, I need to. I want to modify the config, and you have to go, right?
Yeah, I've got my potatoes on, so they'll be ready. I'm burning my food.
I'm going to say change use HTTPS to true.
I guess, yeah. And you know, yeah. Wiki restart, or to be safe, just do wiki stop, wiki start.
Okay, now. It works. But it didn't seem like it took nearly enough time to work for HTTPS. This site can't provide a secure connection. Now, could it be because I started it without HTTPS, it won't do it now?
I can't. Too many possibilities. Then I don't think that's to do with starting it. I think it's to do with because we've never checked that Caddy is and yeah, I haven't done this, so I don't know. Again, I would be tempted to do it when someone who's done it is already online. But we're pretty close to there. There's two other, you know, so.
Yeah, we have the farm running.
Yeah. One thing I do know how to do is
how to set up if you want people to log in with Google, how to set that up. And that's a whole bit of palaver as well. You have to have register the OAuth app with Google.
So if I do this here and I do this here.
Yeah, that won't work right now because you have to basically you have to put in all sorts of things in the configuration and register it so that Google understands it, because it gets redirected to Google with the client secret and ID, and then Google comes back to the page and does all its OAuth stuff, and yeah. So we need to configure that.
And we really want to set it up with LDAP, not with Google.
Yeah, you want to do it with LDAP. Again, I would talk to Paul about that if you want to do the LDAP thing. I mean, how do you want to do it? What sort of password stuff do you want?
Well, actually, I have to see what Mattermost, how Mattermost handles it. I mean, Mattermost has LDAP command, so I assume that it uses LDAP. I mean, the Mattermost administration has LDAP stuff, but Cloudron uses LDAP also.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how you're set up, but the security thing that Federated Wiki uses is called Passport.js. It's a JavaScript library that will interface with most forms of OAuth and I think LDAP as well. So we should be able to do it, but the only person who knows is the person who wrote that for Wiki, which is Paul90. So if you just ping him in fact, what we could do is if you want to drop into the at 6 o'clock London time, I can't remember, 10 a.m. Portland time, something like that. If you go to we have a Zoom where all the developers in Federated Wiki are there, and we can ask away there and even open up the terminal and do it live then. Yeah. Or just add a little question in the FedWiki Riot channel about this stuff.
So I don't have to set Passport will do LDAP here, so.
Yep. So Passport should do it, and there might be a config command, or it mightn't have been integrated. There might be some code that needs to be added to the wiki client to get it to use the LDAP stuff. I don't know what's needed there, but
yeah, we had that security option that we don't know what to do with. So we have to just look at the documentation for that.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you much.
It's all right. I'm happy to move over to the Caddy stuff as well, but like I said, I really want to get this Graal version up and running rather.
I think Caddy's probably the way that we can automate this, the certificates the easiest, right?
I don't understand that, because
this was very easy.
Caddy's acting as the reverse proxy. And if you've already got Nginx as a reverse proxy, it doesn't make any sense. You don't need two reverse proxies.
Right. You know, if we can get it to work with Nginx on a shared system, my thing is Nginx is not going to get the, it has to work with the, we have to test. If it works with the wildcard certificate, if we can get it to work with the wildcard certificate on a shared server in Nginx, then then we can go that route. Otherwise, this Caddy was very nice and easy to do.
Yeah.
Nginx is a little bit more of a pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, but the real power will come when we use the Graal stuff. I'm absolutely clear. Sorry?
What's the Graal stuff?
Graal is well, what I believe is important for doing stuff in the co-op space is to get a microservice infrastructure up in which developers who are scattered wherever, there are very few developers who will work and help maintain stuff in the co-op space, and they program in different languages, and there are tools in different languages. So I want to be able to say, hey, can you add this thing? And if it's a Python programmer, you can add it. If it's a Ruby programmer or a Java programmer or a JavaScript programmer, and Graal lets you to program in the same script in any language and at near native speed. All right, so that means, I don't know, let's say you want to add that little bit of code that does the LDAP stuff. If someone has a library in Python or a library in Ruby or a Java library, they can do it. And because some of the code that I want to use for the co-op stuff, like the legal governance stuff, is in different languages, I want a server where we can do hackathons and you can program it, just a few lines of code in the language of your choice to create a service that's useful to the commons. And that's what I want to do. And it's just, it's very fast. It runs 80% of Twitter's microservices. It's an Oracle project. It's just reached version 1.0. It's a super cool, robust, fast, lean project. And I think it's tailor-made for doing small servers for co-ops.
Yeah, our goal is, if we can do it, is, okay, we basically want to add it to the App Store here in Cloud.
Yeah.
Right, so that we could just click on fedwiki.
Yeah.
And have it installed.
Yes. That's sort of, if you like, that's your goal, okay? Like
right. This is the goal for the cooperation as a service.
Yes.
Okay, because all of our services now run under CloudRun.
Yes, I got you. And when I was talking to Joachim about that, I said, that approach, although I wasn't using CloudRun, I was using something else, and I've got some people grumbling about CloudRun of, proprietary APIs and blah, 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 I don't know, open source purists sort of things. So I know they would rather use it pure Kubernetes kind of stuff and whatever. But that approach, whatever this approach of orchestrating all these Dockers is and providing it as a service, right. I agree with. I like it.
Yeah, this is just for one button install. Which
yes,
make it like installing an app on your phone.
Yeah, I know, but I quite like it, but it's got a problem. Sorry?
And it may be that it doesn't work, that we can't do it.
No, I'm sure you can do it, but I'm just trying to explain why it's not the direction I want to go down, right? So the CloudRun, this direction of having these one-click installs, having the system and administrators run the DigiLive stuff, choose and curate specific services, and then provide it to all the members, right? That approach is it's like building a big tower block that has all these cool software pieces on multiple services and what have you, and then you've got to get lots of people to join the co-op to make maintaining all that big infrastructure worthwhile, right?
The other version, and they're compatible, of doing the cooperation as a service stuff, is you get a tiny little server which you can run on a Raspberry Pi, you can run on your mobile phone, you can even embed this Graal server inside a database like MySQL database, right? And that tiny little server runs the fewest services you can run on it that suffice for cooperation. Okay? And then when you want to, when a group comes along, you can spin up that server for them that they can then customize themselves and run themselves and manage themselves. And you don't provide all the hosting for everyone. You provide the ability to spin up servers that they legally own and run themselves, and that they can customize themselves, right? And so, and point their own domains to, and have their own billing. So for me, this server needs access to the bank account, mutual credit, governance, and then some minimum service like documentation, right? Or something like that. So in order to do the governance. And that means when a group comes to, or there's a group within the DigiLife Collective and they want to go off and start their own project and chip in some money to do something, you can just press one button, they spin up the server, and now developers can start working on that server and they can start paying into the bank account for that particular thing. So then you can get maybe 500 or 1,000 co-ops or little groups all running their own tiny little servers. And it doesn't have to be on DigitalOcean, it can be on any of the main providers, you know, that will run this stuff. So it's all about tiny little minimal servers that you then work out the second level architecture of how you provide services to those servers, right? And those two approaches should go hand in hand. So as a sort of general, we're providing this set of services and we're doing it under the DigiLife domain, and you just become a member and you can use this stuff really easily as an individual. That works really well. But we also want the ability to spin up a little separate server with a minimal server run by an organization with its own bank account and its own stuff.
Well, you know, it's documented and set up so that anybody can install Cloud Run with one command. You know, create the server, install Cloud Run, install the services, and do exactly what DigLife is doing.
Yeah, I would like to look at that as well. That, I mean, I like both approaches. So I was thinking like that. But how many servers is DigLife at the moment running?
Well, everything in the CAAS is running under Cloud Run right now, one server.
One server. Okay. And how big a server is it?
It's $20 a month.
The $20 a month one, right? Okay. Yeah. And you could probably wrap a bunch of scripts around and then spin up another one. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like that as well.
Yeah, and you know the idea is we can always double the capacity of the server.
Yeah, sure.
Or we have to worry about, you know, we can do that many times, a good number of times before we have to worry about decentralizing.
Yeah, and so I'll have a look at it. I'll have a look at how easy it is. Maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll spin up a complete fork of the DigiLife Cloud Run stack under my own thing, see how long that takes me, right? And see how easy it is to automate as well.
Yeah, well, the main problem, as I see it right now, is DigLife is hard-coded into Joachim's code in a lot of places. But it's, you know, it's in GitHub.
Yeah.
We can fix that.
Yeah.
No,
but, so
you he's been trying to get stuff up quick, and been hasn't always abstract. And we want to do the same thing with our chain.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to duplicate the service for our chain. I mean, we can come in as a customer. I mean, our chain can come in as a customer too.
Yeah.
The only thing is that if you look at, well, there's be a lot of differences. One, one of the main things we're going to need integrated into the social ledger is GitHub.
Yeah.
And DigLife has not elected to do GitHub, so we want to do that through our chain.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's why. I mean, I was the other.
I think they would. Our chain would want to run its own servers anyway.
Yeah.
If they go this route. Now, initially, we're coming in through the open learning. So, the collab will be working through the open learning, and then gradually move into its own, which has multiple domains.
Yeah, and that basic approach sort of like worries me, right? Because what tends to happen is people go, yeah, when we've got all this stuff working, we'll set up this multiple domain thing and we'll let you kind of white label it or what have you. But it takes so bloody long and might never even reach the stage that you get there. You keep trying to build this monolith that's all working, and you never get to the stage of allowing people to kind of. So I'd rather do that right at the beginning, immediately from point zero. Don't build anything that you can't fork and have under different domains as a federated architecture straight away. And that's what I'm worried about.
The social ledger prototype, we've run several independent versions of it.
Yeah.
Now the portal is all browser based.
Yeah.
So you just need your own Firebase and your own Mattermost.
Yeah.
And you've got.
Okay, but put it this way: if the requirement is to make it very, very easy for someone starting a co-op or someone who has a co-op, like the requirement for DigiLife is you don't have to be technical. You can just come and you can sign in, and you've got all these cool services. Yeah? I don't want any less of a requirement for popping up your server. Yeah, so you just come in, type in your name, put in your URL, press a button, and you've got your server with what you need there.
Yeah. Well, Joachim has got it all pre-scripted out how to start from zero and put up the infrastructure.
Yeah, so we can. I can give that a test, and all I know is that to me, like that's like the starting point. I don't want to get all the services right and then figure out how to spin it up for another organization. I want to start with something that doesn't even work, but spin it up for multiple organizations, then add service in that way. And I want it as lean and as cheap and as minimal as possible, rather than big and orchestrated. So that's why I'm attracted to the Graal thing, because you can do it really low memory, really fast, really lean, optimized. It's ahead of time compilation. That's one thing. And the other reason I like it is because I want to do it polyglot. I don't want.
How do you spell Graal?
There's a federated wiki page I can link you to, but it's GRAAL
VM, Graal VM.
What was the Graal.vn? What?
The Graal VM, just if you Google for that, it's like,
Oh.
it's pretty well the coolest project in that sort of space out there at the moment. The cool stroke, also industrially robust. So the polyglot aspect I'm really interested in, because I want to be able to get people who write in Scala and Kotlin and weird universities to help the cooperative movement. I don't want to be stuck in PHP or whatever it is.
So you run this with Docker, or?
You can run it in Docker, whatever. It's just a virtual machine type thing. So it just will run whatever language. So if you want to run the node server of Federated Wiki, you just run it under the Graal virtual machine. If you want to run a Python server or a Java server or whatever it is, you run it that way. So you can run your code from various languages like that, put it in a Docker, and then you could pop that up within Cloudron, yeah. But then you've got this totally minimal approach.
Yeah, a little bit more to put it up in Cloudron, because it has the user model, it does the certificate handling, it, there's.
Yeah, but we've just done, yeah, I mean, that, because, yes, yeah, there'll be more to it, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll let you get to your dinner, and I think I'm probably in trouble here. Am I still?
Okay.
I divorced you 10 years ago.
All right, lovely and Newbie.
So I'll get.
See ya.
Thanks a lot. Take care there.